My beloved child, don't skip this message. Listen carefully because someone has carried these words in their heart for far too long. Stay till the end because what you are about to hear is a fictional, cinematic relationship story designed to inspire hope and reflection. It is not a prediction about your personal life, but its emotions may resonate with your own journey. Something huge is waiting for you, and every moment of this story leads to one unforgettable confession. For what feels like forever, your soulmate has been fighting a battle no one else could see. Every time your name entered their mind, their heart raced. Every time they thought about reaching out, fear whispered that it was too late. They convinced themselves that silence would protect them from rejection. They believed that hiding their feelings would somehow make them disappear. But feelings like these do not fade simply because they are ignored. They grow stronger in the quiet. They become louder in the middle of the night. They refuse to remain hidden forever. Listen carefully because this changes everything. While you were living your life, wondering why certain moments felt strangely familiar, someone else was remembering every conversation, every smile, every goodbye, and every memory that refused to leave their heart. They replayed those moments again and again, asking themselves whether they should have spoken sooner, whether they should have been braver, whether they had already lost the one person who made their world feel complete. What happened next changed everything. One evening, as they sat alone with their thoughts, they realized they could no longer keep pretending everything was fine. They had spent too much time hiding behind excuses. Too much time waiting for the perfect moment. Too much time hoping fate would somehow speak for them. But love does not survive on silence. Real feelings demand honesty. And for the first time, they admitted something that frightened them more than anything else: they were still deeply in love. My beloved child, if this story teaches anything, it is that love often grows in the quiet places of the heart. Sometimes people hide their deepest emotions because they fear rejection, because they are still healing, or because they don't know how to express what they truly feel. Yet genuine affection has a remarkable way of finding its voice when the time is right. Stay till the end because something beautiful is waiting for you. Your soulmate in this story has reached a turning point. The words they have hidden for so long are becoming impossible to hold inside. Every passing day makes the silence heavier. Every passing night reminds them that some opportunities cannot be postponed forever. Their heart is telling them that honesty is the only path left. Listen carefully because this is only the beginning. In the next chapter, the secret message they have rehearsed 1,000 times is finally revealed. The emotions they have buried for so long begin to surface, and one unexpected realization changes the direction of their entire story forever. Stay till the end. The most emotional confession is still to come. My beloved child, don't skip this message. Listen carefully because the story is becoming more emotional than ever before. The silence that once protected your soulmate is beginning to feel heavier than the truth they have been trying to hide. Stay till the end because what happened next changed everything. This is a fictional, cinematic relationship story created to inspire hope and reflection, not a prediction of your personal future. Yet the emotions within it may remind you of the power of honesty and love. For countless nights, your soulmate in this story has imagined one conversation over and over again. They picture themselves standing in front of you, their heart racing, their hands trembling, wondering if they will finally find the courage to say what they have kept buried for so long. Every version of that conversation ends differently in their mind, but one thing never changes: their feelings for you remain just as strong as the day they first realized you had become someone they could never forget. Listen carefully because this changes everything. They finally understand that the greatest risk is not hearing no. The greatest risk is spending a lifetime wondering what might have happened if they had simply spoken the truth. That realization keeps them awake at night. It follows them through their daily routine. No matter how hard they try to distract themselves, their heart keeps leading them back to the same thought: you. What happened next changed everything. One quiet evening, they found an old photograph, a message, or a simple reminder of a memory you once shared. It seemed like such a small thing, yet it unlocked emotions they had been trying to control for far too long. Suddenly, every smile, every laugh, every meaningful glance returned to their mind. Instead of fading, those memories became clearer than ever. In that moment, they realized that some connections are too meaningful to be buried beneath fear. My beloved child, this story reminds us that love is not measured by grand speeches or perfect timing. Sometimes love is revealed through quiet loyalty, through memories that refuse to disappear, and through a heart that keeps choosing the same person despite the passing of time. Real feelings may be delayed by fear, but they cannot remain hidden forever. Stay till the end because something beautiful is waiting for you. Your soulmate in this story has reached the edge of a decision. They know they cannot continue pretending everything is normal. The message they have carried inside is no longer just a thought, it has become a necessity. They are beginning to believe that honesty, even if it feels frightening, is far better than a lifetime of silence and regret. Listen carefully because this is the turning point. For the first time, they stop asking themselves, "What if I lose this person?" Instead, they ask, "What if I lose the chance to tell them how much they truly mean to me?" That single question changes everything. Fear begins to lose its power, and courage quietly takes its place. My beloved child, only one thing remains before everything changes. In the next chapter, the hidden message they have protected for so long finally begins to unfold. Every emotion they have been holding back rises to the surface, and the confession they never thought they could make is closer than ever. Stay till the end. The heart's greatest secret is about to be revealed. My beloved child, don't skip this message. Listen carefully because you have reached the chapter where silence can no longer hide what the heart has been carrying. Stay till the end because what happened next changed everything. This is a fictional, cinematic relationship story created for inspiration and entertainment. It is not a prediction about your personal life, but it speaks to the universal experience of love, vulnerability, and the courage to be honest. For days, your soulmate in this story tried to convince themselves to wait just a little longer. Maybe tomorrow, they whispered. Maybe next week. Maybe when everything feels perfect. But deep inside, they already knew the truth. Perfect moments rarely arrive on their own. They are created by people who choose courage over comfort. And every day they remained silent, the words in their heart grew louder until they became impossible to ignore. Listen carefully because this changes everything. Late one night, while everyone else was asleep, they found themselves reading old conversations and remembering moments that had once seemed ordinary. A simple smile. A thoughtful message. A laugh they could still hear in their mind. Those memories reminded them of something they had been trying to deny for far too long. Distance had never erased their feelings. Time had never weakened the connection. If anything, every passing day had made them more certain of what their heart already knew. What happened next changed everything. They stopped running from their emotions and finally admitted the truth to themselves. I still care. I still hope. And I can't keep pretending that these feelings will disappear. Speaking those words aloud, even when no one else was there to hear them, felt like the first step toward freedom. The fear that had controlled them for so long began to loosen its grip, replaced by a quiet determination to stop hiding. My beloved child, sometimes the greatest battle is not between two people. It is the battle within one heart, the struggle between fear and love, between self-protection and honesty, between wondering, what if, and finally deciding to take a chance. Every meaningful relationship reaches a moment when silence is no longer enough, and truth becomes the only path forward. Stay till the end because something beautiful is waiting for you. The person in this story is no longer asking whether they should share their feelings. Now they are wondering how to express them with sincerity, kindness, and respect. They are carefully choosing words that come from the heart, knowing that genuine love is never about pressure or promises. It is about honesty, vulnerability, and giving another person the freedom to respond in their own way. Listen carefully because this is the turning point. The message they have hidden for so long is finally ready to be spoken. Every heartbeat reminds them that some opportunities are too precious to lose through silence. Every prayer gives them a little more courage. Every memory reminds them why this confession matters. My beloved child, only one chapter remains. In the final part, the message they have carried in their heart is finally shared, fear gives way to hope, and this journey ends not with uncertainty, but with healing, gratitude, and the reminder that the truest expressions of love begin with the courage to tell the truth. Stay till the end. The most heartfelt confession is still to come. My beloved child, don't skip this message. Listen carefully because you have reached the chapter where the silence finally begins to break. For so long, your soulmate in this story believed they could hide what was in their heart forever. They convinced themselves that time would erase the memories, that distance would weaken the connection, and that life would somehow move on without ever speaking the truth. But every sunrise reminded them of the same thing. Every quiet evening brought the same thought back into their mind. Every attempt to forget only made one truth impossible to escape. Stay till the end because what happened next changed everything. This is a fictional, cinematic relationship story created for inspiration and reflection, not a prediction about your personal life. Listen carefully because this changes everything. One ordinary day, they stopped searching for the perfect words and started listening to their heart instead. They realized that love was never meant to be hidden behind fear or delayed until every uncertainty disappeared. Real love requires honesty. It requires vulnerability. It requires the courage to risk disappointment instead of living with lifelong regret. That realization became the moment their entire world began to change. What happened next changed everything. They imagined standing before you, not with dramatic promises or impossible expectations, but with complete sincerity. In their heart, they rehearsed the words they had wanted to say for so long: "There is something I have hidden because I was afraid." Not afraid of loving you, but afraid of losing what we already had. Yet I have learned that silence has become more painful than the truth. You have remained in my thoughts through every season, and I can no longer pretend otherwise. Even imagining those words filled them with both fear and hope. My beloved child, this story reminds us that the strongest relationships are not built on perfect timing or flawless people. They are built on honesty, mutual respect, forgiveness, and the willingness to be seen as we truly are. Love grows strongest when two hearts choose authenticity over pretending everything is fine. Stay till the end because something beautiful is waiting for you. Your soulmate in this story begins to understand that whatever happens next, speaking the truth is already a victory. They are no longer imprisoned by silence. They are no longer allowing fear to write the next chapter of their life. Instead, they are choosing courage, knowing that genuine love can only grow where honesty exists. Listen carefully because this is the final turning point before the ending. The message they have carried through countless sleepless nights is no longer just a secret hidden inside their heart. It has become a promise to themselves that they will no longer let fear decide their future. They are ready to speak with kindness, to listen with humility, and to accept whatever comes with grace. My beloved child, only one chapter remains. In the final part, the message is finally delivered, hearts find peace through honesty, and the story concludes with healing, hope, gratitude, and the beautiful reminder that the greatest love stories are not built on perfect circumstances. They are built on the courage to tell the truth when it matters most. Stay till the end. The most beautiful ending is still ahead. My beloved child, don't skip this message. Listen carefully because you have reached the final chapter of this story, where everything that was hidden in silence finally comes into the light. For so long, your soulmate in this fictional, cinematic journey carried emotions they were too afraid to express. They feared rejection, they feared timing, they feared losing something they believed was already fragile. But what they did not realize was that silence itself had become the heaviest burden of all. Stay till the end because what happened next changed everything. This is a fictional story created for emotional reflection and inspiration, not a prediction of your personal future. For days, they stood between two choices: remain silent and keep their feelings hidden, or speak the truth and risk everything. That inner conflict became unbearable. Every memory of you, every moment shared, every unspoken feeling kept pulling them back to the same realization. Love that is never expressed slowly turns into regret. And regret is heavier than any possible rejection. That understanding finally gave them the courage they had been searching for. Listen carefully because this changes everything. One quiet moment, they decided they could no longer live in what-ifs. They took a deep breath, held on to every ounce of courage they had left, and chose honesty. Not because they were certain of the outcome, but because they were certain that silence was no longer an option. Their heart was beating faster than ever before, but for the first time, fear was no longer in control. Courage had taken its place. What happened next changed everything. They finally spoke the words they had rehearsed 1,000 times in their mind, but never out loud. I don't know how you will feel after hearing this, but I can no longer hide what is in my heart. You have been on my mind more than I ever admitted. Not because of confusion, but because of something real I could not ignore. I care about you. I have cared for a long time. And I needed you to know the truth, even if it changes everything. In that moment, silence was replaced by honesty, and honesty became freedom. My beloved child, this story reminds us that truth spoken with sincerity is never wasted. Even when outcomes are uncertain, honesty brings peace. It releases the weight of hidden emotions and allows both hearts the freedom to understand, reflect, and choose their own path without illusion or fear. Stay till the end because something beautiful is waiting for you. In many real journeys of love and connection, the most important moment is not the response, it is the courage to be truthful. Because once truth is spoken, the heart is no longer trapped in silence. It is no longer lost in imagination. It is finally grounded in reality, where healing can begin, whether together or apart. Listen carefully because this is the final turning point. Your soulmate in this story is no longer hiding. Fear no longer dictates their choices. Whatever comes next, whether closeness, distance, understanding, or time to heal, they have chosen integrity over silence, and that choice has already changed everything inside them. My beloved child, as this story comes to an end, remember this. The greatest love is not the one that guarantees a perfect ending. It is the one that teaches you courage, honesty, and emotional truth. Every feeling expressed with sincerity becomes part of your growth, your wisdom, and your understanding of what love truly means. So walk forward with an open heart. Not waiting in fear. Not trapped in silence. But willing to face life with clarity, peace, and self-respect. The end of this story is not confusion. It is clarity. It is not regret. It is courage. It is not silence. It is truth spoken at last. And whether this story ends in togetherness or distance, its greatest message remains the same: healing begins the moment truth is finally spoken. Walk forward in peace, my beloved child. Your heart is now free. My beloved child, don't skip this message. Listen carefully because this is the quiet continuation that comes after the confession, when the heart is no longer hiding but still learning how to breathe again. Stay till the end because what happened next changed everything. This is a fictional, cinematic relationship story created for emotional reflection and inspiration, not a prediction of your personal life, but its message may help you understand healing after truth is finally spoken. After the confession, everything felt different for your soulmate in this story. The silence that once felt heavy was no longer the same. It was no longer filled with secrets, it was filled with uncertainty, reflection, and a strange kind of peace. They had done the hardest thing, they had spoken the truth. But now came the second hardest part, waiting without fear, and accepting whatever comes next without losing themselves. Listen carefully because this changes everything. They began to realize that honesty does not always create instant answers. Sometimes it creates space. Space for understanding. Space for emotions to settle. Space for both hearts to see reality without confusion. And in that space, something unexpected begins to grow, not desperation, not anxiety, but clarity. For the first time, they were not imagining outcomes. They were simply allowing reality to unfold. What happened next changed everything. Days passed, and instead of obsessing over a response, they started reconnecting with themselves. They noticed how much energy they had spent in silence, in overthinking, in emotional guessing. Now, that energy slowly turned into self-respect. They began to understand that love is not only about reaching someone else, it is also about not abandoning yourself in the process. My beloved child, this story reminds us that emotional truth has two sides. One is the courage to speak. The other is the courage to remain whole after speaking. Because once your heart is open, you must also learn how to hold yourself with kindness, regardless of what response comes back to you. Stay till the end because something beautiful is waiting for you. In this chapter, your soulmate begins to realize that their value was never dependent on the outcome of the confession. Whether the answer is yes, no, or something uncertain in between, their honesty already marked a turning point. They are no longer trapped in silence. They are no longer living in what if. They are now living in truth. Listen carefully because this is the turning point. One evening, they look back on everything, the fear, the hesitation, the build-up, and they finally understand something powerful. The confession was never just about another person. It was about becoming brave enough to stop running from their own heart. And in that realization, they find a deeper kind of strength. My beloved child, as this chapter comes to an end, remember this: sometimes the greatest transformation does not happen when someone responds to your love. It happens when you finally express it without losing yourself in the outcome. That is where healing truly begins. So walk forward with calmness. Not attached to uncertainty. Not lost in expectation. But grounded in self-respect, clarity, and emotional maturity. The end of this chapter is not waiting. It is acceptance. It is not fear. It is emotional freedom. It is not confusion. It is understanding who you are beyond silence and beyond outcome. And as this story continues beyond this moment, the most important truth remains: healing is not what happens after the response. Healing begins the moment you stop abandoning yourself for silence. Walk forward in peace, my beloved child. You are no longer waiting to be chosen. You are learning to choose truth. My beloved child, don't skip this message. Listen carefully because this is the chapter where everything quiets down after the storm of emotion, and the heart finally begins to understand what peace actually feels like. Stay till the end because what happened next changed everything. This is a fictional, cinematic relationship story meant for reflection and emotional growth, not a prediction of your personal future, but its message may help you understand what comes after honesty, silence, and healing. After the confession, after the waiting, after the endless thoughts that once filled every corner of the mind, something unexpected began to happen in your soulmate story. Life did not suddenly become dramatic or perfect. Instead, it became quieter, softer, more real. The urgency that once controlled every emotion slowly began to fade, and in its place came something they had not felt in a long time: mental space to think clearly without fear taking over every thought. Listen carefully because this changes everything. They realized that before the confession, their entire emotional world had revolved around one question: what if I lose this? But after speaking the truth and stepping into uncertainty, a different question began to appear: what if I finally start living without fear? That shift did not erase feelings. It simply changed their relationship with them. Love was no longer a pressure. It became something they could understand without being consumed by it. What happened next changed everything. Days turned into a different kind of routine. They stopped checking for signs. They stopped replaying old memories as if they were trying to solve a puzzle. Instead, they began focusing on small, ordinary things again: work, conversations, simple moments of laughter, even quiet walks where their mind was not constantly searching for answers. And slowly, without even noticing, they began to feel like themselves again. My beloved child, this story reminds us that emotional healing is not always loud or dramatic. Sometimes it is subtle. It happens when the mind stops chasing certainty and starts accepting reality as it is. It happens when the heart learns that peace is not found in knowing everything, it is found in not needing to know everything all at once. Stay till the end because something beautiful is waiting for you. In this chapter, your soulmate begins to understand that letting go of control does not mean letting go of love. It means releasing the need for immediate outcomes and allowing life to unfold naturally. That understanding brings a kind of freedom they never expected to feel. Listen carefully because this is the turning point. One quiet moment, they realize something powerful. They are no longer defined by the confession, the silence, or the outcome. They are defined by the courage it took to be honest and the strength it took to remain steady afterward. That realization becomes the foundation of a new emotional beginning. My beloved child, as this chapter closes, remember this: sometimes the greatest healing is not when someone comes closer or moves away. It is when you finally stop measuring your worth by their response. It is when you begin to stand fully in your own truth, regardless of what happens next. So walk forward gently. Not chasing answers. Not trapped in emotional loops. But grounded in clarity, calmness, and self-respect. The end of this chapter is not longing. It is balance. It is not emotional chaos. It is peace returning slowly. It is not dependency. It is emotional independence. And as this story continues beyond this point, one truth becomes clearer than ever before: the strongest love is never the one that consumes you. It is the one that teaches you how to remain whole, even when everything is uncertain. Walk forward in peace, my beloved child. You are no longer searching for validation. You are learning to stand in truth. My beloved child, don't skip this message. Listen carefully because this is the chapter where everything that once felt uncertain begins to take on a quieter, deeper meaning. Stay till the end because what happened next changed everything. This is a fictional, cinematic relationship story created for reflection and emotional growth, not a prediction of your personal future, but its message may help you understand what happens when emotions settle and clarity finally arrives. After the emotional waves of confession, waiting, and reflection, something subtle but powerful begins to unfold in your soulmate story. The intensity that once filled every thought slowly transforms into understanding. Not everything is solved. Not everything is answered. But something more important begins to grow: acceptance. And with acceptance comes a kind of peace that does not depend on outcomes. Listen carefully because this changes everything. They begin to realize that life does not always give immediate closure. Sometimes people do not respond the way we hope. Sometimes emotions remain complex. But even in that uncertainty, there is still growth. There is still meaning. And there is still life moving forward in ways that are not controlled by fear anymore. That realization becomes the beginning of emotional maturity. What happened next changed everything. Instead of waiting in tension or replaying every detail of the confession, they start to let go of the need to control the narrative. They understand that whatever response comes, or does not come, cannot erase what they have already learned about themselves. They are more honest now. More aware. More grounded. And slowly, they begin to feel a quiet strength replacing the emotional chaos that once ruled their inner world. My beloved child, this story reminds us that not every chapter of life is meant to end with immediate resolution. Some chapters exist to teach patience. Some exist to teach self-respect. Some exist to teach emotional independence. And some exist simply to help you understand that your heart is capable of surviving even the most uncertain seasons. Stay till the end because something beautiful is waiting for you. In this chapter, your soulmate begins to realize that healing does not always look like moving on or moving closer. Sometimes healing looks like simply continuing to live, to breathe, and to grow without letting one emotional moment define your entire identity. That is where real strength begins. Listen carefully because this is the turning point. One day, they notice something surprising. The memory of the confession no longer brings panic or overthinking. It brings reflection. It brings gratitude for having been brave enough to be honest. And it brings a sense of calm knowing that they no longer need to fear their own feelings. My beloved child, as this chapter comes to a close, remember this: emotional peace is not found when everything is answered. It is found when you no longer need every answer to feel whole. When you can sit with uncertainty and still feel steady inside yourself. So walk forward gently. Not rushing closure. Not chasing reassurance. But allowing life to unfold at its own pace while you remain grounded in your own worth. The end of this chapter is not confusion. It is calm acceptance. It is not emotional dependency. It is quiet strength. It is not unfinished pain. It is healing that no longer demands attention. And as this story continues beyond this moment, one truth becomes clearer than ever before: the heart becomes truly free not when everything is resolved, but when it no longer fears what remains unresolved. Walk forward in peace, my beloved child. You are no longer defined by the response. You are defined by your growth. My beloved child, don't skip this message. Listen carefully because this is the final chapter of the journey you have been walking through from the very beginning. Stay till the end because what happened next changed everything. This is a fictional, cinematic relationship story created for emotional reflection and growth, not a prediction of your personal future, but its message is meant to leave you with peace, clarity, and strength. After everything, the confession, the waiting, the silence, the overthinking, and the emotional storms, something finally settles in your soulmate story. Not because every question is answered, but because the heart has learned how to rest without needing every answer immediately. The urgency is gone. The pressure is gone. And what remains is something far more stable than emotion alone, understanding. Listen carefully because this changes everything. They realize that love was never only about one outcome, one response, or one perfect moment. It was about everything that led them here. The courage to feel deeply, the bravery to speak honestly, and the strength to survive whatever followed. For the first time, they see their journey not as confusion, but as transformation. What happened next changed everything. Instead of living in emotional tension, they begin to live in emotional clarity. They no longer measure their worth by whether someone stays or goes, responds or remains silent. They begin to understand that their value was never dependent on another person's reaction. It was always present, even in the most uncertain moments. And in that realization, something powerful happens, peace returns. My beloved child, this story reminds us that the greatest endings in life are not always about relationships coming together in perfect harmony. Sometimes they are about the heart becoming whole on its own. Sometimes they are about learning that love should never cost you your identity, your peace, or your self-respect. True love, whether it stays or transforms, always leaves you wiser, not smaller. Stay till the end because something beautiful is waiting for you. In this final chapter, your soulmate understands that the most important victory was never winning someone's affection, it was overcoming fear. It was breaking silence. It was learning to be honest even when the outcome was uncertain. That courage becomes the most meaningful part of their entire journey. Listen carefully because this is the final turning point. They no longer wait for life to define them. They begin defining themselves, with calmness, with clarity, and with emotional maturity. They carry the memory of what they felt, but it no longer controls them. It simply becomes part of their story, not the entire story. My beloved child, as this journey comes to its final moment, remember this: real healing is not when everything goes your way. It is when you can look back at everything that didn't, and still feel grateful for what it taught you. Every emotion, every silence, every confession has shaped you into someone stronger, more aware, and more grounded than before. So walk forward with peace. Not holding on to fear. Not waiting in uncertainty. Not searching for validation in places that no longer define you. But standing fully in your truth, knowing that your heart is capable of growth, resilience, and deep understanding. The end of this story is not longing. It is completion within yourself. It is not emotional confusion. It is clarity and peace. It is not dependency. It is wholeness. And as this final chapter closes, one truth remains above all others: the most important love story you will ever live is the one where you learn to love yourself without losing who you are in the process. Walk forward gently, my beloved child. You are not waiting anymore. You are becoming. And that is the most beautiful ending of all.